Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Control Alt History is the name of the channel. Nearly, 56,500 subscribers. I mentioned this in a Bagwash News. Erika Kirk here, the Erika Kirk mystery. So, both of these women are called Erika Kirk. As the one on the left, we very much know for the shit show that has been since fucking September last year, and the death of Charlie Kirk, or the supposed death of Charlie Kirk. So, both of these women are called Erika Kirk and spelt with a K. Again, that's kind of significant in a way as well. Erika not always spelt with a K. So, the exact same spelling, Erika Kirk. Now, to look at these two women here, I see some similarities myself. I really do, like the forehead, the cheeks. Yeah, I do see some similarities between these two people looking at them. So we're on Control Alt History here, and I've mentioned this video before, but he's got two other videos here um, on the same subject. Now, even that to me looks a bit like Charlie Kirk. I mean, where we see it again. So look at Charlie Kirk on the left there. And then look at this guy here. Look at the nose. Look at the nose. The same nose. I mean, Charlie Kirk's maybe looks like his head is broken. And it's slightly bent to the left there. Or sorry, the right. Left on the screen. But that is the same fucking nose. To me, anyway. And maybe the same for fucking... So, this is getting real weird, to be honest. It's getting real weird. So, as we know, this is Erika Kirk. This is Charlie Kirk. This is Erika Kirk. I can't remember this guy's name off the top of my head, but he used to be a senator, quite famous in the time. But before we got here, he's kind of the crack. You would have to have been born in, say, 1950 at the latest to have any inkling of what's really gone on here. In the sense of what's gone on the right. So on the left here, we know Charlie and Erika Kirk, and again the children never facing the camera. Whether that's even their children, but I do see similarities both between Erika Kirk and this woman, also Erika Kirk, and Charlie Kirk, and the man here. I'm seeing like, oh, wrong one. I'm seeing some similarities. So yeah, I mean, this is the fucked up world we live in. You know what I mean? Honestly, like, if you'll never grasp the gravity of how fucked up the world is that we live in. So we've got the Erika Kirk mystery deepens. America's strangest couple, Erika Kirk, Claude Kirk. That was his name. It's there. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that they look so much alike initially is a bit strange. She's German, lived in Brazil, whole tale behind it, to be honest. But I get the old spider sense that something's going on here. Something's going on. So we'll have a listen to all three videos, but come over to Control Alt History if you want to watch them all. I won't play all of them. But yeah, I played a bit of this one already, I think. But honestly, there's something in this. I don't know if it's a clone or these are the daughters and sons and Charlie and Erika Kirk here. Sorry, yeah, these two are brother and sister from these two, the couple, or they've cloned these people, or I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but there's something going on. Is kind of the crack here. There's something going on. So we'll have a listen anyway.
Okay, this will be a video about Erika Kirk and the incredibly strange, very intriguing mystery surrounding her. And when you hear Erika Kirk, you probably think of the Erika Kirk on the left there, who's everywhere. She was the wife of Charlie Kirk, who was recently assassinated. She's been all over the news for the past couple months, but we're going to be focused this video on this Erika Kirk, who is a completely different person. This Erika Kirk was First Lady of Florida in the 1960s and 70s, and she was married to the Florida governor, whose name was Claude Kirk. And this Claude Kirk was basically just a total animal, just this really larger-than-life type guy who was governor of Florida from 1967 to 1971 and was even mentioned as a vice presidential and even a presidential candidate. And this is just insanely weird. There's no other way to put it because, as you can tell, they have the same name. They both look identical. There's definitely something very strange going on here. I'll kind of get into what I think is going on a little later in the video, but first wanted to tell the story of the 1960s and 70s Erika Kirk because it's a real interesting story, and she was regarded as this real woman of mystery. So when Claude Kirk was elected governor of Florida in 1966, he was single. He was actually called the most eligible bachelor in Florida at the time.
So, sorry to interrupt, but that picture there, I don't know about the rest of you, but this picture to the right, I'm seeing Charlie Kirk in that man. I really am. Like, I really do see similarities to Charlie Kirk. Honestly, I don't know about the rest of you there. But, yeah, I am seeing similarities to... Look at this picture of Charlie here. And look at that man. Charlie. Look at that man. I am seeing such similarities between Charlie and that man and Erika Kirk and this woman. So there's two options here. One's mental and one not so much. The first option is this is brother and sister. These two are brother and sister from this couple and are playing us because they're all part of the agenda. That's option one, that these two are really brother and sister. It's all a play. Charlie Kirk's probably still alive. That's why all the weirdness. Yeah, that's option one. These two are brother and sister from this couple. Again, look at this woman. Look at this woman. Like, as he said, pretty much identical in many photos. But not so much there as much. But look at Charlie. And then look at this man here. Now that's fucking, honest to God. The similarities there are unreal for me anyway. So option two, which is a bit more mental, but as we've seen in the previous Bagwash news, we've been talking about cloning since the 70s. These are clones of these people. They're kind of the two options we've got here. This is the son and daughter of this couple, and we're being played big time. But we know we're being played anyway, like that. You know what I mean? We kind of know we're being played on this whole thing, but to what level? So again, option one is these two are brother and sister, really, in real life, and they're the son and daughter of this couple on the right, or the clones of this couple on the right, which is a bit more far fetched, but still, I suppose, in the realms of possibilities when we've been talking about cloning there in the 70s and the 60s. So, slightly more far fetched, but for me, they're your two logical options here. That they're brother and sister from this couple, or they're clones of this couple, is kind of what I'm coming out with. Again, look at the similarities between these two people. Look at Charlie here on the left. Look at this man here. Yeah, that's what I'm coming out with. They are either clones of these people or they are son and daughter of these people, and all were being played more than anyone could believe yet again. Kind of the options for me. I'll play a bit more.
And when he had his inauguration ball in January of 1967, after he took office, he shocked all of Florida when he showed up to the ball with a woman. This girl was just a total mystery. No one knew who she was. No one had ever seen her with Claude Kirk before. And when he introduced her to people, he just referred to her as Madam X. And there was just all these massive stories about who was this mysterious girl who was with Claude Kirk. Who was this Madam X? Everybody wanted to know who she was and where she came from. And the details of her life slowly started coming out. And the details are really interesting. So it turned out her name was Erika Mattfeld, and she was born in Germany in 1934, and then she moved to Brazil. And before Claude Kirk, she was married to an actor named Carlos Dolabella. And she worked as some sort of model or actress, although she doesn't really have any credits to her name. There's kind of like a mystery about how she ended up in Brazil and what she was doing there. I'll talk a bit about that later in the video. But anyway, she divorced this actor and remained in Rio de Janeiro, and that was where she met Claude Kirk. And that was pretty much all that was revealed about her. She remained this real enigma, just kind of the talk of the state for a while. And then Claude Kirk announced that they were going to get married. If you can see the date on the newspaper there, it says January 8th, 1967, which is only about 3 days after he took office. So basically, he showed up to the inauguration ball with this mysterious woman, caused a big stir and a big commotion, and then announced he was marrying her. And the wedding happened a short while later. It was a really massive deal. President Nixon attended, and Erika Kirk was basically just this sensation in Florida. While Claude Kirk was governor, she was constantly talked about in the press. She really just kind of turned into a big celebrity, and she always kept sort of a low profile. And so there was a lot of mystery surrounding her and their relationship. There was all these articles about how she'd gone from working as a waitress in Germany to becoming the first lady of Florida. This article here kind of sums up what a lot of these articles that talked about her were like. It says,
Sorry to interrupt, but again, just that sort of from Germany before the time of the Nazis, or in the time of the Nazis and running up to the Second World War there, ended up in South America, which is very much the reports of what happened to a lot of the Nazis, went to Argentina, Brazil. So was she the possible daughter of a Nazi or that kind of thing, or involved in some way? Again, looks a lot like Erika Kirk of the Day. Is she in some way related to Erika Kirk of the Day? Very much into the whole clique, as we've seen multiple times. Proved herself on many occasions, Erika Kirk there. So yeah, it's very, the plot thickens. They're very much so. I mean, it's now in a summit at the minute, but it is summit as well. They look so much alike each other that there's got to be something in it. But I mean, I don't. We're on this together here. You know what I mean? I'm I'm no like all I can see is how much these people look alike, and again they've got the same name. It's spelled with a K as well, which is Erica's more predominantly spelled with a C. So there's something in this, but again, I don't think this guy's quite got to the bottom of what it is. But there's definitely something in it for me, that they can't look so much alike each other and not be connected in some way and have the same name. And again, the reason we don't know anything about this is because it was before our time, and that's why a lot of this gets past everybody, because they take so long to do this plan, sort of 250 years, possibly more, that it's generational, and you've got to keep an eye on hundreds of years worth of information here. But I don't know about the rest of you here, but for me, that these people look so much alike. There's got to be something somewhere here.
as Erika Kirk radiates, her emerald green eyes actually glow. When she smiles, which is almost always, they shimmer. And Claude Kirk himself was just a real celebrity too. He's described as just this larger than life type guy. He was totally flamboyant, very controversial, very, very outspoken.
So, okay, I'm just sorry to interrupt already again, but I just keep point stuff out along the way here. So this guy was a bit of a celebrity. His wife was a bit of a celebrity. This was kind of in the 60s and the 70s, and we don't know anything about it, which you've got to keep in mind here. This is how you can get played, because the ultimately, because we can't remember any of this. Well, we weren't here. A lot of us, you know what I mean. They can play again when people say history repeats itself, etc. They can play the same cards on you generationally, and neither generation has an idea what went on, if you know what I mean, if you leave it long enough. So I do feel as if this was a power couple of the time, and you're kind of being told that. And whether their son and daughter were enacted to pull off a same sort of charade, I do not know. Or again, outside possibility they're clones, but I would go with that it's the son and daughter of these people, and ultimately they're playing us. You know what I mean? We already thought they were playing us before we were learning any of this information. But yeah, I mean they're your two options. But the fact that these people were very well known at the time, and we don't know anything about them, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's you can be a very famous in your day, and as long as your day was before we were even born, 1971 here, we don't know fuck all about it. You know what I mean?
Here he is holding up a skinned chicken at a press conference, and he was always doing like really outlandish publicity stunt things like this. There was this huge feature on him in the New York Times after he was elected, and it described him as, quote, it says, as a person, Claude Kirk is a dizzying experience. As a governor, he is certainly the most bizarre happening in Florida's political history. Then it also describes him. It says he played governor the way Errol Flynn used to play Captain Blood. Charming, daring, somewhat arrogant, seldom going by the rules. This article that recapped his first year on the job described how he scuba dived to the bottom of the ocean and planted the Florida flag there. And then he also participated with police in a raid on a motorcycle gang's hangout. And even at one point, he put on a football uniform complete with pads for the University of Florida, and he sat on the bench with the team one Saturday when they were playing a game against Vanderbilt. So he was always doing just all these really outlandish things to garner all this publicity. He was described as just a totally brash, really flamboyant guy. And his story is actually kind of suspicious. He was this really, really rich guy. He was actually a lawyer, and then he made a bunch of money as a president of an insurance company. And then he abruptly quit and he established some sort of investment firm that had offices in Jacksonville, Brazil, and Ireland. And he spent a lot of time in South America. But the details of what exactly this business was and what he was doing in South America all the time are kind of murky. He was actually questioned a lot about this during the election, and he never really gave much of a straight answer about what his whole South American investment firm was. Obviously, there are a lot of drugs imported from South America through Florida, so you do wonder if something like that was going on. But he eventually ran for governor of Florida in 1966, and he won, and he became the first Republican governor of Florida in 100 years. And he was long rumored to be a candidate for U.S. vice president or even president of the United States. He was really thought of that highly. And anyway, Claude and Erika Kirk had a couple kids while they were in office, and she was just constantly talked about while Claude Kirk was governor. There are so many articles and features out there that were written about her.
Right, so I'm sorry to interrupt you again. She had a couple of kids. Here's one of them, a little girl, and this looks like a little boy. And the girl looks older than the boy. Well, I believe Erika Kirk is slightly older than Charlie Kirk. Could this be a young Erika Kirk? The modern day Erika Kirk, right there. Could this be Charlie Kirk? The modern day Charlie Kirk, right there. So I do believe you'd have to fact check for me. I'm not 100%, but I'm in the 90s. That I remember hearing that Erika Kirk was slightly older than Charlie there. Well, here we have a couple of kids from the Erika Kirk, and lo and behold, we have a little boy here, and a little girl, and a little girl, slightly older than the little boy. So, and I do believe that Erika was slightly older than Charlie. Maybe what? Should we say 3 to 4 years there, maybe? I don't know, I'm not too good on child ages, but somebody else could help me out there. But we're saying maybe 3 to 4 years older. So, yeah, I mean, let's have a look at our laugh face here. Let's have a look there. Let's have a look at our laugh face. Let's have a look there. Well, I wouldn't definitely say no. So, yeah, again, she had two kids, a boy and a girl. The girl was slightly older. Are these two brother and sister from this couple, and we're being completely played here, more than anyone could possibly imagine? I don't know. I don't know for a fact, but there we go. That she just so happened to have two kids, a boy and a girl, and the girl's slightly older than the boy. And I'm honestly 90% sure that Erica was slightly older than Charlie, and he was always sort of the older woman crack. You know what I mean? Honestly, and in fact, I'm 98% sure that Erika Kirk is older than Charlie. And lo and behold, the little girl's slightly older than the little boy. So I don't know, but there you go. There you go.
Her. And then in 1970, Claude Kirk ended up losing his bid for re-election, partially because his 4 years as governor of Florida was just seen as like so chaotic and so lively. He ended up switching to the Democratic Party after this. He ran for governor again in the late 1970s, and he was always mentioned as a potential, presidential candidate or vice presidential candidate. And he actually tried to run for president in 1984, but was unsuccessful. And that was pretty much that. So there are just so many weird things going on here. And obviously, the whole thing with both of these two women being named Erika Kirk and both looking identical to each other, both being in the limelight. I mean, it is really strange, very, very odd. And Charlie Kirk honestly looks like a younger version of Claude Kirk. They definitely had the same, like, very distinct nose. Same facial features. Claude Kirk is much heavier, probably at least about 100 pounds heavier, and he's about 15 years older than Charlie Kirk as well. So the Erika Kirk one is just identical. They're the same age and everything. They match up perfectly there. But all the pictures of Claude Kirk are when he's in his 40s and 50s. He definitely looks a lot like Charlie Kirk, like an older version of Charlie Kirk as well. And the fact that this 1960s Erika Kirk was a German who relocated to Brazil is very, very interesting because there were just a whole bunch of Nazis who relocated to South America after World War II. Just officially, there were tons of them. And there are also rumors that there were just thousands upon thousands more who were living underground or living off the grid. And they even set up a camp there. It was called Colonia Dignidad, and it was allegedly just a whole bunch of like experiments, a lot of works with genetics going on there. It was described as a state within a state, just full of German nationals.
Yeah, all this is kind of known if you look into it. I haven't mentioned it, but it's kind of known. I did mention it earlier, but I've never really mentioned it in a video or anything. Cloning, he goes on about cloning. Personally, I'm kind of going with the theory of this is the son and daughter. After seeing that picture of this woman having two kids that just happen to be a son and a daughter, I regard with that these people are these people's kids and we're being played here. Is kind of where I'm gonna settle on this at the minute. There's more videos though, so I'm going to leave it on that video. There is a bit more if you want to come and watch it. Control Alt History. I don't want to play all of these videos, so I'm just kind of giving you the outline here. You know what I mean? So there's more of that video if you want to come and watch it. But me personally, I would go with these people as the son and daughter of these people. So, the Erika Kirk mystery deepens. Best comments from viewers. We'll go with that one last. We'll move on to this one, part two. American Stranger's First Couple, the Erika Kirk Claude mystery. So there may be a bit more information here. So yeah, but I see Charlie Kirk in that face. I really do. I really, really do. Yeah, I would go with these people are the kids of these people, and we're totally being played. So listen to a bit of this anyway.
Erica with a K is not a common way of spelling Erica. Spelling Erica with a C is much more traditional, so it's very odd that these two women, 50 years apart, not only look identical and have the same name, but also spell it in the same way. And very interestingly, the most popular marching song for Nazi Germany during World War II was named Erika with a K. So I thought that was real interesting how this 1960s Erika Kirk went from Germany to South America to the First Lady of Florida. And there was this Nazi marching song named Erika with a K. I mentioned this in the previous video, but I think this was a human cloning thing where these people, these two Erika Kirks, were created from the same DNA. The Nazis were very big into the genetic
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. It really is. Again, I mentioned it before. It is an actual possibility here, especially what we learned about the cloning being mentioned in the 60s and the 70s there. But I can maybe favour that it's the son and daughter because we see in the picture of that she had a son and daughter. So I don't know, but again, they're kind of your two possibilities here because we're being played. There's no way that these people look so much alike, and they're not in some way connected here. So these people are either clones of these people, or these people are the son and daughter of these people. I honestly think that them are your two options. But cloning is very much a possibility. Yeah, honestly, it really is.
experimentation. There's all sorts of genetic experiments that went on in Colonio Dignidad. And I actually did a video on human cloning very recently and talked about how it's really not a far fetched concept at all. It's something that was talked about 50 plus years ago. Human cloning is definitely not as futuristic or far out there as some people might think. And I thought this was just kind of a interesting little side note to the Erika Kirk mystery that I talked about in that first video, that there's this Nazi marching song named Erica with a K.
And our Erica just so happens to be also spelt with a K, like the German version.
Anyway, this video will be focused more on her husband, Claude Kirk, who was the governor of Florida from 1967 to 1971. And he is just a fascinating guy. He's probably the most fascinating governor in the history of the United States. There was just so much important, just crazy stuff that went on during his time as governor.
Yeah, and remember again that we've never even heard of this man, or most of us, or like the majority, if not all of us. We've never heard of him, yet he was famous, he was well known, you know what I mean? And this is like, again, think of the level of deception that can be pulled on people. If this is true, if these people are these people's kids, or a clone, but let's go with the kid things, it's less crazy in a way, then we have no knowledge of these people on the right, so they can pull this off on us in the modern time. I'm 45, you know what I mean? So you could be 60-year-old and this will still work. So you wait long enough and you can pull the same charade again, in effect. You know what I mean? But and honestly, I think there's really something. Look at the eyes, the cheeks, that the smile, the fucking forehead. This woman is identical to this woman, and he looks like a younger version of him. So I honestly think that there really is something in this. When I seen it, and I've listened to this guy, and I've listened to this video, even before he mentions these people and what the backgrounds are, etc. Just the look of these people, they look fucking identical to each other, for fuck's sake. So yeah, I mean, I go with son and daughter, but cloning is a possibility. But I really do think possible son and daughter here.
He was known as being just totally outlandish. He's always described as really flamboyant and outspoken, always doing these wild publicity stunts. Here he is holding up a skinned chicken at a press conference, and this New York Times feature on him describes him as a dizzying experience and the most bizarre happening in Florida's political history. And there's all these stories about the wild things he would do for publicity. He participated with police in a raid on a motorcycle gang hangout, and he scuba dived and planted the Florida flag on the bottom of the ocean. And he was nicknamed Claudius Maximus and King Claude because he was just such a larger than life type guy. He was constantly getting in public arguments with other politicians. Some of them loved him, some of them absolutely hated his guts. And he has this quote here that just kind of summarizes his time as governor. He says, "The garden of controversy must be continually cultivated, otherwise, nobody knows you're alive." And he wasn't some like clown or joke of a guy. He was thought of very, very highly. And he was even mentioned repeatedly as someone who could become vice president or even president of the United States. He was really thought of that highly. And there's a big kind of mystery surrounding him because the story of him and how he became governor is pretty suspicious. So he was in the military and then he went to law school and he worked a few assorted jobs. Then he became president of an insurance company and served as president for 5 years.
Sorry to interrupt, but he was in the clique, basically. I mean, I don't know if anybody noticed past there. Rockefeller ticket. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, again, the names. So he was in the clique, and Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk. Erika Kirk, at this point, is definitely in the clique. I just think we've been played so well, like not even well because we figured it out in the end. But it's one hell of a play. You know what I mean? One hell of a play. But the asses fell out of it predominantly due to control alt history here. Absolute praise to this man for noticing this. You know what I mean? And honestly, like, oof, I mean, again, I'd never heard of either of these two on the right. Never. I'm not old enough. Again, not big enough celebrities to have been remembered. But here we go, listening to what you're hearing here. The governor, fucking well liked, fucking flamboyant, the fucking best fucking governor of all time of Florida, very much well known at the time that they were in. but you would have to have been at least 20-year-old to understand politics, etc. So you have to have born in the 50s, 40s to know who these people really were. Most of them people are gone, you know what I mean? And that's how they can play this card on us on the left here. When these people, you know what I mean? I honestly do think that a cloning is an option, but it's just a bit mental in it. So I would go with son and daughter, and these people were never married. It's all bullshit. Again, I never thought they were married even before this. I thought it was all a fugazi, that it was all a sham. I really did, but now I really do believe it was a sham, and these people are possible son, brother and sister. There's no way Charlie Kirk's dead now. No way. But yeah, honestly, again, there's more of this video. We've got another fucking 16 minutes of this video. This video's 22 minutes long. You know what I mean? There's a lot of information here. I'd very much recommend coming over and watching the videos on the channel. So, Kirk, again, could have been vice president and all this kind of crack. He was well known, absolutely well known at the time. So, I was on Time magazine, maybe, or there, possibly. I don't know. Kirk, what? Company, Florida elects Kirk governor. Fucking, again, he was the governor of Florida. So, I'll leave it here again on this video. Come and watch more if you want to know more about Claude Kirk. So, again, I haven't played the full videos. The first one was kind of Erika. This one was kind of Claude. But, again, similarities in how these people look alike. So again, we'll kind of leave it there for now on that one. Well, go and watch it on the channel. I don't want to play all his videos, you know what I mean? So we'll move over to the final part 3 here. Comments, etc. A few people noticed a few things. Play a little bit of this one, but again, 22 minutes long. Won't play it all. Come and watch it on the channel. But I really do. I don't know about the rest of you. I really do think there's something in it. You know what I mean? Be it son and daughter, be it clones. Again, I'm going with son and daughter. I really do think there's something in it, and we're being played like, and then when you wrap your head around this is the level of what these people will get up to. Oh, muted the bastard.
This is just such a bizarre story, and for this video, I figured I would just highlight a few of the best comments that people left on the first 2 videos that I did about this mystery. There were some really awesome comments left on the first 2 videos, so just wanted to highlight a few of them and talk a bit more about some of the really intriguing ones. So real quick here, I already did 2 videos on this insanely weird story of Erika Kirk, who was the Florida First Lady from 1967 to 1971, and she bears a striking similarity to the modern day Erika Kirk, who's Charlie Kirk's wife, who's everywhere today. And the first video I did just focused on Erika Kirk herself, who was this real woman of mystery back in the 1960s. She was referred to as Madam X. And in the second video I did, focused more on her husband Claude Kirk, who was really one of the most fascinating politicians of all time. He was just this really outlandish, flamboyant, like just totally outspoken politician. And this article here describes him as a dizzying experience and the most bizarre happening in Florida's political history. A very intriguing mystery to say the least, and I figured I would just talk a bit more about this mystery by highlighting a few of the best comments that people have left on the first 2 videos and kind of going into more detail on them. And first up is this interesting comment about the background of Erika Kirk, the 1960s Erika Kirk. So this comment talks about Erika Kirk's marriage to this actor named Carlos Dolabella, who she was married to before she married Claude Kirk. And the comment talks about this Carlos Dolabella's mother, and this is the really intriguing thing. So the whole background of Erika Kirk is very interesting. She was born in Germany and then moved to Brazil because she married this actor named Carlos Dolabella, who was a pretty well-known actor in South America at the time. And their whole story is pretty suspect. When this Carlos Dolabella met her, he claimed that he didn't know German, and Erika Matfeld, which was her name at the time, she didn't know Portuguese, so they would just use sign language and have a friend translate, and that's how they communicated. Kind of seems like a bit of a made-up story about them meeting, but the real intriguing thing about this marriage has to do with Carlos Dolabella's mother. Because Claude Kirk met Erika Kirk, Erika Matfeld at the time, he met her through this Carlos Dolabella's mother. Her name was Marina Bucas. I'm pretty sure this is a picture of her that I just found on Facebook. And so Claude Kirk spent all this time in South America as part of some sort of mysterious investment company that he owned that had offices in Brazil and Florida. Obviously, that's a major drug trafficking route. And it really seems to me, at least, like this was a front for drug trafficking. I talked about that a bit in the earlier videos. But the strange thing is that there's a couple mentions of how Claude Kirk had to basically present himself to and get the approval of this Marina Bukas before he could get involved with Erica Matfeld, which is odd because Erica Matfeld and Carlos Dolabella, they were long divorced by this point. They'd been separated for years. And it was said this former mother-in-law, this mother of Carlos Dolabella, she was almost like a chaperone for the relationship between Erica and Claude Kirk. She would keep a quote unquote watchful eye on them while they dated. It almost sounds like she was like a godmother, like a kingpin type, that Claude Kirk would have to go to her and get her approval before he got involved with this Erica Matfeld. I find the whole thing pretty strange, actually. And the background of this Marina Bukas is real interesting. Her father was this guy, Valentin Bukas, who was regarded as basically this legendary businessman in Brazil. He was a big time executive with IBM, and he's credited as the person who brought IBM into South America. And there's even a documentary on the IBM website about Valentin Bukas, and he worked firsthand with IBM's president, Thomas Watson. And he was a really big deal when he died. It was written up in the New York Times and described how he was a close personal friend of President Roosevelt. So he was thought of very, very highly. And the IBM connection is real interesting because there's been a lot that's been written about IBM's connections to the Third Reich. They were called perhaps Hitler's biggest business partner. They sold Germany just a ton of technology and equipment during World War II. A lot of American companies did do that, but I did find it a little curious that Valentin Bukas had this IBM connection. But the real interesting thing has to do with the last name, Bukas, because that's a Greek name. And I actually wonder if this family wasn't tied in with one of the most famous Greeks of all time, Aristotle Onassis, who I've talked about in a number of videos. Just an absolutely fascinating guy, one of my favorite people that I've talked about in my videos. I talk about him a lot in the video that I did on the gemstone file. I'll link that video in the description. But Aristotle Onassis, I mean, this guy was just a baller. He lived on a private island. He owned the biggest yacht in the world. He's one of the richest people on earth during the mid 20th century. Has a ton of similarities to Blofeld, who was the main bad guy in the James Bond movies. A lot of people actually think that Blofeld was based on Onassis. And obviously, he married Jackie Kennedy after JFK's death as well. And the thing about Onassis with this Erika Kirk story is that Onassis was from Greece and then he moved to South America when he was 21. And the story goes that he was basically penniless when he arrived. And then he became one of the richest people on earth while he was in Argentina in a very, very short amount of time. And he was called the Argentine Dream because he became so successful. He built this just massive shipping empire and supposedly made all this money importing tobacco. But what was really going on was most likely drugs. Even in this article here about one of his former lovers, she talked about how Onassis told her that he was trafficking heroin to South America that was disguised in tobacco crates, and that's how he really made his money. And it makes sense because one of the main drug shipping routes at this time was from the Greece Mediterranean region, which is obviously where Onassis was from, to Argentina, which is obviously where he moved and made all this money. So the fact that Erica Matfeld, later Erika Kirk, married into this Greek Bukas family in South America, and Aristotle Onassis was a Greek in South America, I found that pretty interesting. Next up is a comment that someone left about this photo here, which is Claude Kirk holding up a dead chicken at a press conference. And this photo has always kind of been held up as an example of how outlandish Claude Kirk was, how he was always doing these crazy things for attention. But this commenter here said that there might have been way more going on here. He says, the chicken Claude held up isn't nothing, nor was it merely a stunt. What you're looking for here is more commonly called the Kaparat ritual. So this is real interesting to me. This Kaparat ritual is defined here. It says it's a pre-Yom Kippur atonement practice among some Orthodox Jews that involves swinging.
So, sorry to interrupt. Jews. Again, Erika Kirk, our Erika Kirk, all about Israel, and you know what I mean. Charlie Kirk wasn't. Charlie Kirk's not here. Erika Kirk's massively in with Donald Trump. Donald Trump's attacked in Iran for Israel. Are you connecting a lot of dots here, or what? Again, the whole South America, the Nazis, like, again, there's a lot here to dissect, but I think there's a lot here as well. I think there's something in it. Personally, I don't know about the rest of you, but I do think there's something in it. And again, the Jews getting a mention now, and rituals, we've been looking there. So the plot thickens as we go down. Again, the last person to give the question to Charlie Kirk was actually related to a guy who works on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and Jimmy Kimmel was deplatformed for a while over something he said about Charlie Kirk. But the last part, it's all honestly, there's so many connections here. It's unreal. But I've played enough of his videos. Again, Control Alt History. He's the one who's figured all this out. You know what I mean? So come and watch all three videos on his channel. But for me, there's somewhere in it. There's absolutely somewhere in it. I mean, they look identical to each other. Like, honestly, he looks like an older Charlie Kirk, and she looks like Erika Kirk. There's definitely somewhere in this. I mean, I say son and daughter, but maybe even grandson and granddaughter. Maybe one generation removed here, or something as well. I don't know. I don't know, but they look too much alike for the to be not somewhere in it. And again, this guy was they were famous at the time. We're just not old enough to remember them. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was very very interesting. I think there's somewhere in it personally. I'll leave it there. Make your own mind up. Peace.